The fluorescent lights of Judge Judy's courtroom cast harsh shadows across the defendant's table as personal injury attorney Marcus Rodriguez adjusted his $3,000 Armani suit and flashed his signature $1 million smile. What started as a routine $8,500 billing dispute was about to become the most catastrophic professional destruction ever witnessed on live television. Rodriguez had no idea that sitting in that defendant's chair would cost him everything: his license, his multi-million-dollar practice, his reputation, and his entire future. Judge Judy Scheindlin, the 81-year-old legal legend who had destroyed careers before most people had their morning coffee, was about to ask one simple question that would expose a secret Rodriguez had been hiding for months. But when she did, Rodriguez made a choice that sealed his fate. He didn't just answer disrespectfully. He didn't just argue back. He laughed. A full, arrogant, condescending laugh that echoed through the studio like a death sentence. What Rodriguez didn't know was that Judge Judy's producers had already uncovered something devastating about his practice. Something so damning that his laughter would become the final nail in his professional coffin. The Florida Bar Association had been building a case against him for 6 months, and they were just waiting for one more piece of evidence. Rodriguez was about to hand it to them on a silver platter, gift-wrapped in his own arrogance. In exactly 36 seconds, Judge Judy would deliver the most brutal career execution in television history, revealing the hidden investigation that had been closing in on Rodriguez like a legal noose. His laughter would turn to silence. His confidence would crumble to panic, and his entire world would collapse in front of millions of viewers who watched in stunned disbelief as a successful attorney's life imploded in real time. Before we dive into this incredible case, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing where my viewers are around the world. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss more unbelievable cases like this one. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The tension crackling through that television courtroom was unlike anything the production crew had witnessed in over 2 decades of filming. This wasn't just another case about unpaid bills or broken contracts. This was a collision between 2 legal titans from completely different worlds, and everyone in that studio could sense that something monumental was about to unfold. What made this confrontation so dangerous was the stark contrast between the participants, one representing decades of unshakable judicial authority, the other embodying the kind of unchecked arrogance that comes from never facing real consequences. Judge Judy Scheindlin sat behind her bench like a legal fortress built from pure experience and unwavering principles. At 81 years old, she wasn't just a television personality playing a judge for entertainment. She was the real deal, forged in the brutal crucible of New York's family court system, where she spent 25 years making life-altering decisions that actually mattered. Her resume read like a legal hall of fame. Over 20,000 real cases decided, countless families helped or held accountable, and a reputation for cutting through lies and excuses like a surgeon's scalpel through infected tissue. She had seen every type of criminal, every variety of liar, and every species of arrogant attorney who thought they could outsmart the system. Her television empire, worth over $400 million, wasn't built on luck or celebrity. It was constructed on a foundation of genuine legal expertise that commanded respect from actual judges, prosecutors, and defense attorneys across the country. When real legal professionals watched Judge Judy, they didn't see entertainment. They saw a master craftsman demonstrating how justice should actually work. But what made Judge Judy truly dangerous in moments like this was her encyclopedic knowledge of legal ethics and professional conduct. She knew exactly what constituted billing fraud, exactly what behavior warranted disciplinary action, and exactly how to document evidence that would hold up under the scrutiny of state bar associations. Her connections in the legal world weren't just professional courtesy relationships. They were built on mutual respect, earned through decades of impeccable conduct and razor-sharp legal judgment. When Judge Judy made a call to report attorney misconduct, bar associations listened with the same attention they would give to a complaint from a federal judge. Sitting across from this legal legend was Marcus Rodriguez, a 45-year-old personal injury attorney who had built his Miami practice on a foundation of aggressive marketing, quick settlements, and the kind of flashy showmanship that looked impressive to clients, but horrified seasoned legal professionals. Rodriguez had never practiced in a world where judges had real power, or where mistakes had permanent consequences. His courtroom experience was limited to settlement conferences and plea negotiations, where charm and manipulation could paper over sloppy legal work. He specialized in slip-and-fall cases, car accident claims, and the type of personal injury work that generated massive fees from relatively simple legal procedures. His downtown Miami office occupied 3 floors of prime real estate, decorated with expensive art and awards from legal marketing associations that had nothing to do with actual legal competence. What Rodriguez failed to understand was that his success had been built in a protective bubble, where his clients were desperate. His opponents were insurance adjusters focused on quick resolutions, and the judges he encountered were too busy with overloaded dockets to scrutinize his methods closely. He had confused financial success with legal superiority, mistaking his ability to generate revenue for actual expertise in the law. His $3,000 suits, luxury cars, and million-dollar settlements had inflated his ego to dangerous proportions, creating a delusional self-image where he saw himself as untouchable and superior to anyone who questioned his methods. The deadly combination was Rodriguez's complete ignorance of who he was dealing with and what was actually at stake. He walked into Judge Judy's courtroom thinking he was facing a television personality who would be impressed by his success and intimidated by his legal credentials. He had no idea that Judge Judy's producers conducted thorough background investigations on every participant, that her legal team maintained relationships with bar associations nationwide, and that every episode was recorded with the kind of precision that created admissible evidence for professional disciplinary proceedings. This wasn't just a billing dispute about $8,500 in legal fees. This was a trap that had been carefully constructed around Rodriguez's pattern of questionable billing practices, unethical conduct, and professional arrogance. The Florida Bar Association had been building a case against him for months, accumulating complaints from former clients who questioned his billing methods and suspicious about his inflated hours and mysterious charges. They had everything they needed except one crucial element: documented evidence of Rodriguez admitting to billing irregularities while showing complete disrespect for legal authority. Judge Judy was about to provide exactly that evidence, wrapped in Rodriguez's own words and delivered with his own arrogant laughter as the soundtrack to his professional destruction. The case file that landed on Judge Judy's bench seemed deceptively simple on the surface. Maria Santos, a 34-year-old nursing assistant, was suing her former attorney Marcus Rodriguez for $8,500 in what she claimed were fraudulent legal fees from a slip-and-fall settlement. Santos had hired Rodriguez after injuring her back in a grocery store accident, and while he had successfully negotiated a $300,000 settlement, his final bill had shocked her into taking legal action. The billing statement read like a fantasy novel: 47 hours of work completed in just 3 weeks, including mysterious late-night meetings, weekend consultations that never happened, and charges for services that Santos swore were never provided. Judge Judy began her questioning with the methodical precision of a surgeon preparing to operate, her voice calm but carrying the unmistakable authority of someone who had dissected thousands of cases exactly like this one. "Mr. Rodriguez," she said, adjusting her glasses as she reviewed the billing records spread across her bench, "I'm looking at your invoice to Ms. Santos, and I need you to walk me through these charges. You billed for 47 hours of legal work on a case that settled in 3 weeks. That's more than a full-time job. Can you explain how you accumulated nearly 50 hours on what appears to be a straightforward personal injury claim?" Rodriguez shifted in his chair, his expensive suit catching the studio lights as he flashed that practiced smile that had charmed countless clients and impressed numerous juries. His confidence was palpable, radiating the kind of self-assurance that comes from years of never being seriously challenged by anyone with real authority. "Your Honor, personal injury cases require extensive investigation, documentation, medical record review, and complex negotiations with insurance adjusters. Every single hour on that bill was legitimate and absolutely necessary to secure the substantial settlement my client received. We're talking about a $300,000 recovery here." But Judge Judy's experienced eye had already caught something in the billing records that made her lean forward with predatory interest. Her decades of experience had taught her to spot the telltale signs of billing fraud, and Rodriguez's invoice was practically screaming red flags at her. "I see here that you charged Ms. Santos for a 4-hour strategy meeting that allegedly took place on a Sunday at 2 a.m. Were you conducting legal business at 2 in the morning, counselor? And if so, why would such a meeting last 4 full hours in the middle of the night?" The studio fell into an expectant silence as everyone waited for Rodriguez's response. This was the moment that would determine whether this remained a simple billing dispute or exploded into something much more serious. Rodriguez had 2 choices: admit the obvious billing error and apologize, or double down on his arrogance and try to justify the unjustifiable. His next words would either save his career or destroy it completely, and everyone in that courtroom was about to witness which path this overconfident attorney would choose. The moment Rodriguez opened his mouth, everyone in the studio knew they were witnessing something unprecedented in the history of daytime television. Instead of acknowledging the obvious billing error, or offering even a basic explanation for the impossible 2 a.m. meeting, Rodriguez leaned back in his chair with the kind of smug confidence that comes from years of never facing real consequences for his actions. His response would be replayed millions of times across social media, studied in law schools as an example of professional suicide, and remembered as the exact moment when arrogance met its match. "Judge, with all due respect," Rodriguez said, his voice dripping with condescension as he gestured dismissively toward the bench. "You've been doing TV court for so long, you might not remember how real legal practice actually works in the modern world." The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud, and the collective intake of breath from the studio audience was audible, even over the hum of the cameras. Rodriguez had just committed the ultimate sin in any courtroom. He had questioned a judge's competence and legal knowledge, suggesting that Judge Judy's decades of actual judicial experience were somehow inferior to his personal injury practice. The temperature in the studio seemed to drop 20 degrees, as Judge Judy's expression shifted from professional interest to something far more dangerous. Her eyes narrowed with the focused intensity of a predator that had just identified its prey, and her voice took on that deadly quiet tone that regular viewers knew meant someone was about to be professionally executed. "Excuse me?" she said, each word delivered with surgical precision. "Are you suggesting that my 25 years as a family court judge in New York, where I made actual legal decisions that affected real people's lives, doesn't qualify me to understand basic attorney billing practices and professional ethics?" Any experienced attorney would have recognized this as the moment to apologize profusely, backtrack immediately, and beg for judicial mercy. But Rodriguez, intoxicated by years of unchecked success and surrounded by clients who treated him like a legal god, made the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Instead of showing humility or respect, he doubled down on his arrogance with the kind of breathtaking stupidity that becomes legendary in legal circles. "Look, Judge, I mean no disrespect," he said, though every word that followed proved the exact opposite. "But daytime television and real courtrooms are completely different worlds. I handle complex personal injury cases worth millions of dollars. I negotiate with major insurance companies and deal with sophisticated legal strategies that require expertise most people don't understand. This billing dispute is probably more complicated than anything you've dealt with in years of TV arbitration." The studio audience gasped audibly at the sheer audacity of Rodriguez's statement. Anderson, the show's bailiff, instinctively moved closer to the defendant's table, his years of courtroom experience telling him that something explosive was about to happen. Even the camera operators seemed to lean in, sensing that they were capturing television history in the making. But Judge Judy remained eerily calm, which anyone familiar with her show knew was the most dangerous sign of all. When Judge Judy got loud and angry, defendants usually survived with their dignity bruised but intact. When she became quiet and controlled like this, careers ended and reputations were destroyed beyond repair. She sat back in her chair with the patient stillness of a chess master who had just watched her opponent make the fatal move that would lead to inevitable checkmate. "Mr. Rodriguez," she said slowly, her voice now carrying the weight of impending doom, "let me ask you one more time about this 2 a.m. meeting charge, and I want you to think very carefully about your answer." Rodriguez looked down at the billing records in his hands, his confident facade beginning to crack as the reality of the situation started to penetrate his arrogant illusion. The mysterious 2 a.m. meeting charge stared back at him like an accusation he couldn't escape, and for the first time since entering the studio, doubt flickered across his features. He had two choices in that crucial moment: admit the billing error, apologize sincerely and hope Judge Judy would show mercy, or continue down the path of arrogance that was leading him straight toward professional suicide. Rodriguez chose destruction. Looking up from his papers with a dismissive shake of his head, he let out a laugh that would echo through legal history as one of the most catastrophic sounds ever captured on television. It wasn't a nervous chuckle or an embarrassed giggle. It was a full, condescending laugh that suggested Judge Judy's legitimate questions were beneath his consideration. "Judge, honestly," he said through his laughter, "do we really need to nitpick every single line item on a legal bill? My client received a $300,000 settlement. She should be thanking me for my excellent work, not complaining about a few minor billing discrepancies that don't even matter in the big picture." The laughter died in Rodriguez's throat as he watched Judge Judy's expression transform into something he had never seen before. The legendary judge leaned forward with the predatory focus of a prosecutor about to deliver a death blow, and when she spoke, her voice carried the authority of someone who was about to change a man's life forever. "Mr. Rodriguez," she said, beginning to count on her fingers like a legal executioner marking time, "in exactly 36 seconds, I'm going to explain why your legal career is about to end permanently." The studio fell into absolute silence as Judge Judy began her methodical countdown to Rodriguez's professional destruction. "First, you just admitted on national television to billing fraud. That 2 a.m. meeting never happened, and your laughter just confirmed that you know it. Second, You've displayed such profound disrespect for judicial authority that I seriously question your fitness to practice law anywhere in this country. Rodriguez's smug expression began crumbling as the weight of Judge Judy's words hit him like physical blows. Third, she continued relentlessly, you've violated the most fundamental rule every law student learns. Never lie to a judge and never show disrespect in any legal proceeding. But Judge Judy wasn't finished destroying him yet. Her voice took on an almost pleasant tone as she delivered the information that would end everything Rodriguez had built. But here's what you don't know, counselor. And this is where your arrogance becomes your downfall. Before every show, my producers conduct thorough background investigations on all participants. The Florida Bar Association has been investigating your billing practices and professional conduct for 6 months. They've been waiting for just one more documented incident to move forward with formal disciplinary action. The blood drained from Rodriguez's face as the reality crashed over him like a tsunami of consequences he had never seen coming. The final blow came with the precision of a master swordsman delivering a killing strike. Judge Judy's voice remained steady and controlled as she sealed Rodriguez's fate with words that would be replayed millions of times across every social media platform on Earth. This case, this recording, your admission of billing irregularities and your complete disrespect for legal proceedings will be forwarded to the Florida Bar Association within the hour. Congratulations, Mr. Rodriguez. You just provided them with everything they need to suspend your license permanently. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,500. Case dismissed. Mr. Rodriguez, you're dismissed as well from this courtroom and very soon from the legal profession entirely. Rodriguez sat frozen in his chair, his expensive suit suddenly looking like a costume from a play that had ended badly. The confident attorney who had walked into the studio that morning was gone, replaced by a broken man who finally understood that his arrogance had just cost him everything he had spent decades building. The cameras captured every second of his realization, every micro-expression of horror as the magnitude of his destruction became clear. Judge Judy gathered her papers with the satisfied efficiency of someone who had just delivered perfect justice, while Rodriguez remained motionless, staring into space like a man watching his entire world collapse in slow motion. Within minutes of the episode ending, social media exploded with a force that surprised even seasoned viral content experts. The hashtag #LawyerDestroyed began trending worldwide before the production crew had even finished packing their equipment. The 36-second countdown clip, featuring Judge Judy's methodical destruction of Rodriguez's career, garnered over 100 million views in the first 12 hours, making it one of the fastest-spreading legal clips in internet history. TikTok users created countless reaction videos, with lawyers across the country explaining why Rodriguez's behavior was career suicide and judges sharing their own stories of attorneys who had learned similar lessons the hard way. If you think that level of professional destruction is incredible, just wait until you see what happened next. The aftermath was even more devastating than Rodriguez's courtroom humiliation, and the ripple effects of his 36 seconds of arrogance would destroy everything he had ever built. Make sure you're subscribed because the complete collapse of his empire is absolutely shocking. True to her word, Judge Judy's legal team forwarded the complete case recording to the Florida Bar Association that same afternoon, along with a detailed summary of Rodriguez's admissions and conduct. The investigation that had been moving at a bureaucratic pace for months suddenly shifted into overdrive. Emergency disciplinary proceedings were initiated within 72 hours, and Rodriguez received an immediate suspension notice pending a full hearing. The bar cited his televised admission of billing fraud, his display of professional unfitness, and his profound disrespect for judicial authority as grounds for emergency action. The legal community's reaction was swift and brutal. The Florida Association for Justice, which represented personal injury attorneys throughout the state, issued a public statement distancing themselves from Rodriguez's conduct and emphasizing that his behavior violated every principle of professional legal practice. Law professors began incorporating the clip into their legal ethics courses as a perfect example of how arrogance and dishonesty could destroy a career in minutes. Bar associations in other states shared the video as a cautionary tale for attorneys in their jurisdictions. Rodriguez's law practice began imploding immediately. Clients started demanding refunds and filing additional complaints with the Bar Association. His malpractice insurance company launched their own investigation, threatening to void his coverage retroactively. The luxurious downtown Miami office that had been the symbol of his success was closed within 3 weeks, with moving trucks hauling away the expensive furniture and artwork that had once impressed potential clients. His legal staff scattered to other firms, and his answering service was disconnected as unpaid bills mounted. 6 months after his career-ending appearance on Judge Judy, Marcus Rodriguez faced the Florida Bar Association's disciplinary panel in a hearing room that felt like a funeral for his professional life. The viral clip was played multiple times as evidence of his unfitness to practice law, with each viewing making the panel members visibly uncomfortable at the sheer arrogance displayed. The hearing wasn't about whether Rodriguez would be punished. It was about whether he would ever practice law again anywhere in America. The panel didn't just suspend his license. They recommended permanent disbarment with no possibility of reinstatement. His appeal was denied unanimously, and his legal career was officially declared dead. The case became mandatory viewing in legal ethics courses at every major law school in the country. Professor Elizabeth Chen at Stanford Law called it the most complete professional self-destruction ever captured on video, while Harvard's legal ethics program used the clip to demonstrate how arrogance could override decades of education and experience in a matter of seconds. Rodriguez's name became synonymous with professional hubris, mentioned in the same breath as other cautionary tales about lawyers who forgot their place in the legal system. Rodriguez attempted to rebuild his life in real estate and business consulting, but the viral nature of his destruction followed him everywhere. Potential employers would Google his name and immediately find millions of references to his courtroom humiliation. Dating became impossible when every potential partner had seen him get demolished by an 81-year-old judge on television. He eventually moved to a small town in rural Florida, working odd jobs and living in the kind of modest circumstances that would have horrified the man who once wore $3,000 suits and drove luxury cars. Judge Judy's handling of the case reinforced her status as television's ultimate authority figure and proved that real legal experience trumps flashy marketing every single time. The episode became one of the most watched in the show's history, demonstrating that audiences craved authentic justice over manufactured drama. This incredible case proves that arrogance has consequences, and disrespecting Judge Judy is professional suicide. If you enjoyed watching Rodriguez's complete destruction, smash that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable moments where justice prevails. What did you think of Rodriguez's downfall? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned for our next video featuring another career-ending moment that went viral worldwide.